Sie hören Sport und Musik.
Das Spiel ist aus! Deutschland ist Weltmeister!
In a world where fans fight over whether to call it football, or soccer, two German men defy the odds and call it Fußball. Bringing you inside the German-American football experience. And now, here are your hosts, the Schnitzel Boys.
Another day. Another day. This one is worse, yeah. This one is worse. It's true. This one is worse. I was like,
That
it's worse.
coming at you.
Oh boy.
Do we not know how to fade that
boy.
out? Is there no fade out?
It fades out.
By
Just
itself?
gotta wait. Oh, should we? I should have faded it out.
Okay.
I let it go. It fades
Let it
itself
go?
out. Yeah.
You know what else faded out?
I don't know. Faded out or just went up in flames. Like I was before the second goal. I was getting ready to be like, wow, this was exactly the same as the US game, but it got worse.
It became exactly the same as the Mexico game.
Yeah,
4 years ago.
2018. Yeah.
So
Except at that point, it was Mesut Ozil one-on-one in the box, and you were like, how did that happen in the first place? In this case, you had the guy who's supposedly a center back, in position, ready to deal with Bochum. I guess the silver lining is Bochum beat Dortmund today, so there's that.
wait a minute, who is one of the Japanese players on Bochum?
Asano, yeah, the guy who scored. Yeah.
Oh, there you go, a little silver lining.
I mean,
a little context for everyone. Germany just lost to Japan 2-1 in their opening game of the 2022 World Cup. I predicted Germany was going to win 2-1. You predicted Germany was going to win 3-1. We were both wrong. Japan won.
Looked good at halftime. Those predictions looked good at halftime.
Even that equalizer.
Yeah,
like,
this.
All right, got time for another goal, but then Japan got their counter. Just like Japan played the U.S. in Dusseldorf, Japan is a very, very smart team. And you saw that today. Yeah,
there was a suggestion made by the commentators, by Ali Wagner, that this was some kind of a rope-a-dope strategy by Japan, kind of saving themselves for the second half. If that's the case, that's genius. I don't know. I was unhappy with the lineup immediately, and I don't think you play Schlotterbeck and Süle. The Dortmund have been established to be a poor defensive team over the last two. So I don't know that you want to have half of their defense lined up in a World Cup.
What did I say when the roster was announced? Like, it's not about the lineup. The roster, it's the Dortmund defense. Schlotterbeck, Süle, and then one other one, right?
Well, Mats Hummels
wasn't called in. But, like, our Dortmund's defense, which is very suspect, is Germany's defense for some reason.
Well, it was today, yeah. And, Rüdiger, Rüdiger is good. I love him, and one of the two, I guess, would be all right. But this is not it. I mean, do you want to go? Ugh, I'm so bummed.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about Germany's. Let's talk about Germany's last 4 World Cup games: Mexico, Sweden, Korea, and Japan.
Yeah.
How many of those did Germany win?
Just one against
One.
Sweden. Yeah,
Right,
and that
free
was a
kick.
last second,
Last second
barely,
free kick.
barely won that one.
Between Marco Reus and Tony Kroos, two
Needed a
players who are not
miracle,
involved
a
anymore.
miracle free kick at the death. The thing, this is not. I mean, you can certainly the second goal you can very specifically pin on both Süle and Schlotterbeck. Süle keeping Asano onside and Schlotterbeck then just not dealing with him at all. But overall, this has not been a good defensive team over the last, however, couple, even under Flick in the Nations League. This team doesn't hold leads, but we still act like we are. This was because the first half went well. First half went well. Japan very toothless up front, whether on purpose or not. We don't know. We don't know, but we needed to score more. But anyway, 1-0 at halftime. Everything's good. But then, we do this thing, this like professional, this sort of professional. Listen, that's kind of right. Like this sort of, we're gonna see this out. And this team just doesn't. And I think there was a time, certainly in the history of German national teams, where you could count on that, where you could be like, this is it's a solid defensive group, and they can get shutouts if they need. This team is not that. It hasn't been. When was the last time this team got a shutout against a decent opponent? I don't even know. So it's not it. So they had to keep attacking. It's not like there were no chances. The second half, there was some. Musiala had a couple good looks, and there was that offside goal. It's not like they didn't have any chances, but it just felt bad to me. It felt this sort of like, whatever offense we can generate is bonus because we're gonna just run this out. We're gonna just sort of see out this 1-0 win. This is not that team. It's not that team to do it. They don't have, as I said to you on the text, we do not have a bus to park at this point. There's no, we might try to park the bus, but we don't have one to park. So yeah, it's too bad.
Well, in addition to that. So we had Germany had 26 shots, 9 shots on goal.
Yeah,
that's not
the goalie, the Japanese goalie was simultaneously very, very good and very bad, right? Like he
had 4 of those saves.
He had some good saves, but he also clearly seemed vulnerable. He couldn't hold on to shots, and I think early on in the first half, this seemed to be the part of the strategy was, shoot from distance and see how whether he can hold on to the ball or not. And
he was good enough for us, so it doesn't matter if he looked bad. He blocked all of our shots, so
it's
including 4 in one play. So good work on him. And then,
he gave, like, the flip side. He couldn't hold on to things. He gave up the penalty sort of weirdly.
It doesn't matter.
And unnecessarily.
To Germany. It doesn't matter. It's to Germany. Germany's not going to do anything with it. So you can always tell Costa Rica and Spain, you can always get back to Germany. It's not like they know how to score a goal anyway. Because in the last 4 World Cup games, no goals against Mexico, no goals against Korea, and a penalty against Japan. They just the thing with Germany is they know how to hold the ball well, decently. But then when it comes to attacking third, they always miscommunicate. They always overshoot. They cross poorly. They just don't know how to put 2 and 2 together when it comes to the final box.
Well, I thought the first half was interesting. I thought at halftime, the first half, I don't know. There was definitely a decision made. The lineup did not seem super balanced to me offensively, and I was like, there's a lot of dribblers. We got a lot of dribblers on this team. A lot of, and so initially I was not sure that this is a good lineup, especially defensively. But anyway, then I thought it was tactically I thought it was interesting to kind of just abandon the right side completely, basically. Süle didn't even pretend to play right back for a lot of it. He was just basically a third center back, and then he kind of moved forward with everybody else. And which left sort of Gnabry a little bit on an island, and he had trouble getting into the game, which then kind of in the second half, sort of, I think maybe because of that, took a shot when he should have passed, where he was like, oh, I finally have the ball, I'm going to do something. Anyway, but I thought it was interesting, this tactic to just come centrally, to come with numbers centrally and just have short passing and just kind of try to overwhelm Japan inside and in the box. And I think it worked for a lot of it. I mean, there were some chances. They could have certainly scored a second one, had that goal by Havertz called back. I thought that was an interesting approach, because usually, you think as an attacking team, you want space. As a defending team, you want things to be compact. And it was kind of inverted that way. They were like, oh, we're just going to come through the middle, and there's going to be just too many of us, and you're not going to be able to deal with it. And of course, when that doesn't work, it looks frustrating. It's like a bunch of people running against a set defense. But I thought a couple of times it did create overloads, and it did create some chances. So I didn't feel, I was sort of intrigued at halftime at this. But then in the second half, we just kind of abandoned this compactness completely, and it was just, everything just became very open and got stretched out defensively, and just couldn't regain control of the game at all.
Well, Ali Wagner said something on the broadcast which I agree with, and which is just like, they just need, the Germans in the final third need to be more direct. They can't be passing it all the time. They just need to take a little more risk, be a little more direct, and I agree with her. A lot of times we saw Germans relaxed, calm, with the ball in the box, but then they passed it to two or three guys, and they lose it turnover time. There's a lot of turnovers. Now, the good thing is they play really well as a team. You don't see that Christian Pulisic turnover machine where he's by himself. They are going in there, but after one or two guys, they got another guy they can pass it to. But then it's like they pass the third or fourth guy, and by then that's no good. When really they should that second guy should just take a kick, just shoot against the goal, just spend less time trying to walk it in and be a little bit more direct. So I'd like to see, because we hold the ball, and because we didn't have a right side, David Raum got a lot of play today. A lot of David Raum today. A lot of Musiala today. Not a lot, like you said, not a lot of Gnabry today.
I think
that's an issue.
Yeah, the right side just was totally abandoned, and whether that was a tactical. I mean, to some extent, it's a tactical decision if you play Süle in that position. Unless he just forgot. That's another. Maybe he just forgot he was supposed to be right back.
I don't know.
That's what it looked like a couple of times in the first half, where he was sort of drifting centrally, and then it was like, oh, right, I'm supposed to be over here, and then kind of took some steps.
Yeah, but that's also on Flick. We've got right backs.
Yeah, I mean, like, who?
Is he playing right back for Dortmund? I guess
no, he does not.
No.
And Uli Hesse thought that Schlotterbeck should be
right.
Should be in that position. I mean, Süle's got the pace in theory. He's a pretty fast, but yeah, it was not happening, and Gnabry was abandoned, and so then it did allow the Japanese defense to really shift to the other side, and Raum just did not have a lot of Raum on the left there, even though Raum being German for space.
Like Derek Ray mentioned.
Like Derek Ray and his over-enunciation. He takes those like little pauses before he says a German word. It's like, oh, watch me. Come on, watch me pronounce this word. Raumdeuter, der Raumdeuter.
Did he say that?
Die Bundesliga. In der Bundesliga.
Die zweite Bundesliga.
That zweite I thought Ali Wagner.
Falsche Fünf.
Ali Wagner did a good job making fun of him.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I was going to say, you're having a blast. But yeah, it's a lot of David Raum. And if all the players on our team, if you said, who should lead your attack, David Raum would not have been someone I've offered. I've offered almost anybody else.
Again, I don't know. I thought that was. I think that he probably is going to be a prominent player if this is going to turn around at all in any meaningful way. Yeah, I'm more okay with that too. I don't. I mean, you play with the people that you have. It's like we don't have a right. I mean, who should play right back? Thilo Kehrer, I guess maybe.
Well, I'm not worried about that. You're right. That's a little. Just put Thilo Kehrer in there would be my thing. Just put a guy in there.
I mean, don't play Süle. No more Süle and Schlotterbeck. It's got to be one of the two. And,
am I wrong in that second Japanese goal? Am I wrong to think Neuer should have done better? It's his near post.
Well, he
was one-on-one. He was right in front of him.
It's very close range. I mean, like,
yeah, but just,
well, I think he also stayed. He stayed back, thinking that Schlotterbeck's going to deal with this.
Yeah,
I think that's the. I think if he had known that Schlotterbeck's just going to let him run past, he probably comes out. But I don't know. That's like.
But Schlotterbeck was behind him. He was already smoked Aaron Longstyle.
Well, I don't
outside the box. So Neuer must have been like, okay, Schlotterbeck, you need to run faster. Like he's the forwards in front of him.
I'd have to rewatch it. I thought they were sort of. I thought they were pretty even, and then I think he just kind of wants the ball to run out, like wants to block him out and let the ball run out or something, like, and that just doesn't work. I don't know. I'll have to watch it again. It didn't look like he was smoked for sure. I thought, oh, he's got this, and then Asano just gets a foot on it, and I don't know about Neuer. I'll have to see it again. You want to take another look? Should we take another look?
Sure. It just seemed a little bit of slow motion. The forward is in front of him, I thought, and he goes to Neuer's very near post and does a great little kick. You know, it's just a great goal for him. It's very reminiscent of the Landon Donovan goal against Slovenia in the 2010 World Cup. Deep pull where Landon Donovan just comes in on the right, comes in and shoots a quick one at a very near angle above the keeper. But he was uncovered where Schlotterbeck is on this guy. But, you know, I don't know. It's just sloppy.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, no, it wasn't good. It was not good. Yeah, Asano had been hurt. He hasn't played that much for Bochum. And but he was fit today.
I tell you, I said before the tournament, don't underestimate the Japanese. They are a Bundesliga-based squad, and they're not just on Bundesliga clubs. Like Kamada is leaned on. Like these are players that are important for their clubs.
Yeah,
and so they have a good understanding of their opposition. The Japanese came and ready to go, and they pulled off a win. Good on them.
I mean, Schlotterbeck's just. I'm just watching it again.
The forward's in front of him, right? Or what are we?
Well, but he's like slowing down. He wants to just block him out. It's not like he's beaten on pace. He watches the ball. Asano, good first touch. Then he has his arm on Asano's shoulder. They're side by side, and he's just kind of. He just lacking intensity there, I think. I mean, he's clearly bigger. And then, I mean, from that distance, what are you going to do? Neuer's trying to make himself big, and he goes over his head. I don't know. Like, it's tough to. But I think Neuer doesn't. I think that's it. Neuer doesn't come out because he's like, oh, Schlotterbeck's got this, and he doesn't. Anyway.
Well,
and Süle keeps him on side. That's the other thing. Everybody's stepping out. He's a couple. That's why Schlotterbeck slows up. He wants him to be off. But Süle is keeping him on. So yeah, the Dortmund defense at work. just a day at the office for two BVB defenders. Let's keep people on side and then defend poorly 1-on-1. Here we go.
Okay, so 2-1 for Japan. Good on them. I had Japan getting out of the group in my predictions, so good on me. But I also had Germany coming out with them. So Germany now has a big game against Spain.
Yeah, good say.
Costa Rica, even with this kind of quality, Costa Rica's bad. So Germany should be able to get 3 points against Costa Rica. But,
well, they're going to need them. But but if they lose to Spain, then it's
the end of that, right?
Sayonara.
Sayonara.
Hasta luego. Hasta luego.
They could do it USA style where they can get a point and get through on 4 points, maybe. I don't know. So this puts us in a very interesting position. Who's going to go further in this World Cup, the United States or Germany? Or are they both not going to make it out of the group? It's just going to be another bad tournament.
Certainly right now, I wouldn't put a lot of money on either team.
Right.
I mean, yeah, we gotta fix our shit in order to.
Well, that's the bigger issue, right?
I don't know. What are we gonna?
What is up with the German national team?
It's
how
not
many
a good
training centers are there? You have a national training center. You have all these world-class youth programs where people from all the world come to. Where are the German players? Did they just stop playing? Is it just foreigners now? What's going on? Where are our number 9s? Where are our right backs? Where are our players?
Well, I think there's a. Yeah, I think well, if you want to, you're going big picture right after this. Let's see. I think the fullback position, the international game has passed us by a little bit. I think other countries. I think that's just, I don't know. There's just sort of these trends, international trends. I think at the highest level, the fullbacks are now important parts of the very tactically important in modern football. What am I trying to say? I'm saying the position of the fullback has evolved, and the Germans have not kept up. Like, there's not a lot of real specialized. That's why Joe Scally gets the transfer, and he's sort of a trained fullback. He's a two-way.
The Canadians got the memo.
Two-way players. Canadians, have it. The English. I mean, the English have. I mean, I guess they started Luke Shaw in this game because everybody's hurt. But there's.
Hey Bjorn, why does Canada have a much better left back than Germany? Do you think?
Well, Alphonso Davies, I mean, there's always individuals. Like, that's not a system issue. That's just Alphonso Davies being amazing. We don't have that guy. That's true. That's why Bayern bought him, if they could have just got one of those from their academy. But yeah, that's true. I think that is not a thing. There's not a lot of good fullbacks anywhere in the Bundesliga, and certainly nobody. I mean, David Raum is one of them, and he gets the start, but I think that's one piece. And then, I don't know, the center backs. I think the center back position also has changed. Center backs now is maybe the most difficult position to play in soccer in a way, because it's so much more two-way. It used to be like the center back just kind of, you get the ball, you kick it somewhere. It doesn't matter. Now basically the attack starts from the center back. The lines are much higher. And the center backs are supposed to be passing. And so it's a lot. It requires a much wider skill set. And again, we don't right now have world-class players at that position. Toni Rüdiger, I think, is up there. And I think there's no number 2. Mats Hummels has aged out. Jerome Boateng aged out a while ago. I mean, Hummels and Boateng were like genuinely a world-class center back pair. Like, there were very few people better than them, and you just don't have that all the time. I don't know that that's a system thing or about talent. I don't know.
It is a system thing. I mean, we had a plethora of players, and now we're still depending on those players. Where are the next players? The bigger question is this, Bjorn. What does France do so right that Germany does so wrong? Why has France got it going right? Why do they have 4 world-class number 9s? Why do they have a bunch of center? Why do they have just one player after another ready to go, next man up? What are they doing right that Germany's doing wrong?
Well, if you have the answer to that question, then you're gonna make a lot of money, because every
Oliver Bierhoff. How much money does Oliver Bierhoff make? Isn't that his job? Let's go.
I think you just have different generations. You just have special talents, and they make these teams. It's like France wasn't always like that. France was bad for decades.
I know, but they made a training compound, blah blah blah. And Germany did the
So
same thing.
you're thinking this is like directly you can trace this back. This is just like you can if you do it correctly, you can just manufacture these people.
Well, what we're supposed to be, the German generation that was so great that won the World Cup, the jersey that I'm wearing, a lot of that goes back to Kiek Media going out of business. Remember when Kiek Media went out of business back in the day? They had all the German rights. They gave all the German clubs money. Then they went bankrupt, and the German clubs were just broke all of a sudden, had no money. What did they all do? They finally stopped ignoring their kids. And then you had your Stuttgart coming out with all their players, and all of a sudden Bayern München had some more players. And then all these young kids who were given a chance became the World Cup winning team that we know and love today. Now, this next generation, they went back to their old habits of just signing a bunch of foreigners again, kind of like what MLS is doing. And I don't know if Germans are getting the opportunities. Like, I think trial by fire does help a lot. I think clubs are reluctant to do that with their young talent, and they'd rather bring in other talent, from your Eastern Europe, from your Africa, from your Asia, wherever, like Japanese players, And I think it's something that needs to be looked at. The DFB spends so much money on youth development. They have the regional program, that they have this whole reboot, and I'm wondering what happened to that system. Where is that?
Well, I think other countries do it too. Everybody else improves. I mean, the counterpoint to your argument is like, what about England? England has more players from other countries than any other league. There's always that discussion, like we don't get enough English players on the field. Their national team seems to be doing well. It's
True.
I think
they're using.
I think all of these.
Jude Bellingham, Jadon Sancho, Gio Reyna.
They all get, and I mean that's why people send kids to the Bundesliga, because the Bundesliga does give young players a chance
that's what I'm saying.
More so than
young foreigners are taking up a lot of the opportunity.
I don't buy that. There's plenty of German kids also getting their shot. What are you suggesting? You think they should close their borders and only play German?
No, I'm not saying, just keep an eye on it. That's all I'm saying.
I think it's always a small sample size. I think they're like 25 players, and I think everything you're saying is valid. I think this is all we're thinking about. But like to extrapolate one. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just there's just certain generations, certain countries have good teams for a while and then they don't. Look at Spain. We're gonna find out. Hopefully I'm not. But you just look at their squad and you're like, oh, what happened there? This used to be.
So where's Germany right now? Are we in between? Or what?
In between generations?
Yeah.
I think we have a lot of quality. I think this team is good. I think the midfield is great. I think there's a lot of good talents. I think we can defend, and I don't know if that's. I think there's a personnel. It's a personnel problem. It's a tactical. I think it's a mentality problem. I think we still believe our own hype to some extent as like being a good defensive team, even though there's no recent evidence of that at all. But like the way that they came out in the second half, it's like, oh, we got this. Germany 1-0 lead, like, let's go. And it's not.
So Germany doesn't have a defense or an offense.
Well, I don't agree. I don't quite agree with your.
Well, then why aren't they scoring
take
goals?
On
their sloppy game against Oman was more telling, I think, than you realize. And again, the competitive game. The only team we know that scored goals against is Portugal. For whatever reason, we can take care of Portugal well. But if it ain't Portugal, we don't score goals. We just don't know how. I don't know. I know it's been a while, but in the last 4 World Cup games, we lost against 2 Asian teams, a North American team, and we scored 1 penalty in those 3 games. So
it didn't go in. They hit the post. There was an offside. It's not like nothing happens. It's a little bit like the Argentina. I mean, Argentina also only got a penalty goal against Saudi Arabia, but had a lot of chances. I mean, that's also just sometimes how it goes. But we'll see. We'll have to
called offside.
Right.
One, by the way, in error is the rumor online.
In error? Okay.
Yeah, the automated offside.
The automated thing is not working. The FIFA super technology has problems.
Flaws. It tracked the wrong.
Say
player.
it ain't so. Say it ain't so.
Tracked the wrong player, and Argentina had a good goal ruled off. So who you got? Text McGee over there. How many people are texting you?
People, of course, everybody who has something to say. Germany lost.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I learned a new Sprachgefühl today.
Oh, should we play that? Should I play the thing?
Not Gefühl, but
should I play the thing? Let's play the thing.
Yep.
Sprachgefühl.
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 Sprachgefühl. Sprachgefühl.
So my mom texted me, and I said an equalizer would be nice, and she said, "Ja, wäre ein Trostpflaster."
Ein Trostpflaster. That's a good one.
Trostpflaster. I
don't even
tell the audience what that means.
I wonder. Well, I can translate it.
I googled it as kind of a consolation, right? That was her.
Trost means consolation. Like if Trost is it's basically if you comfort somebody. Like if you I guess you can't. There's no real word to translate it. Like if your child falls and bumps their knee and they cry, you come over and you're like, oh, you're okay. That's trösten. You're trösten.
To make them feel better.
To make them, make somebody feel better when they're sad. Yeah. So Trost, that's Trost, and a Pflaster is a Band-Aid.
Right.
So this is a Band-Aid to make you feel better.
Even though
I don't know if this. I don't know where this comes from. Actually, they had. They used to have these Band-Aids, and I guess they still do, that have like little drawings of cartoon characters or whatever on them. I guess that might be it. It's like supposed to make you feel better. The Band-Aid to make you feel better. And I guess that would be, that's exactly what this equalizer would have been. It would have been a Band-Aid to make you feel a little better. Even though it also 1 point is not what we had hoped for. But it's well put. Trostpflaster.
I mean, that 1 point would have proven to be huge. But so that's it sounds like consolation prize.
Yeah, so, I guess these are all at the World Cup. They're all 6-point games, right? It's not like you win. When it's a league game, it's almost 1 point or 0. It doesn't make that much of a difference. But in this case, in the World Cup, it's not just the 1 point you get. It's also the 2 other points that Japan doesn't get.
Right.
So that makes a big difference, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so Germany has a big game against Spain, like you said.
Yeah.
Are Spain next? Are Spain in 20 minutes?
Spain are at 2, I think. Next is
later? We have
two my time. It's gonna be the other ones next. We have
is it Canada, Belgium?
We have Canada. No, you're right. Spain and Costa Rica are next. You
got to get the one to Spain because Costa Rica.
And so then Belgium, Canada. Yeah, I mean, if this goes as expected, which it may or may not, because I don't know, Spain are not the juggernaut that they once were either. They don't have it. They don't really have a number 9 either. So this could also easily be another one of those scoreless ties we keep seeing.
Costa Rica's number 9 just turned 50, I think. It's
Costa Rica is definitely benefiting from CONCACAF, from the generous.
He made his debut in the 1978 World Cup as an Argentinian soldier. He wasn't even a player at the tournament. He was one of the Argentinian Stasi soldiers.
This is just the joke, the 360-degree jokes here on the Schnitzel Boys, firing in all directions in one sentence.
Tell you, that was his first World Cup. He wasn't at the stands. He was at the empty World Cup torturing people but he can see the distance. He's like, I'm going to play in that World Cup someday. And here he is, 2022 World Cup, Costa Rica. His grandkids are there rooting him on. His great grandkids are there rooting him on. It's going to be a really big thing.
Okay. Well, I can't wait. Can't wait to tune in to see this. What about, just briefly, what about the German team doing this?
Yeah, it was nice. I thought that was. Share the photo. Let's see if we can share the photo a little bit here.
Yeah, the German in the team photo before the game, basically the entire team were covering their mouths to, I guess, comment on. Basically saying, "Oh, FIFA, this is what you would like us to do, right? So here we are doing it." Yeah,
and they are. Rumor has, I heard on BBC today, because I'm all over the World Cup broadcasts here. They are gonna maybe. Where am I? Hold on. Well, they're gonna maybe. Where is this? This one. They're gonna go to the CAS, the Court Arbitration of Sport, something I still don't 100% understand, and they're going to fight the fact that they can't wear their One Love armbands. You see it here? Oh, it didn't update. Why is it not updated?
No, I don't see. I mean, I see a bunch of pictures.
Let me try this one more time. I just stop screen, present. I can figure this out. Share screen, Chrome tab.
How do I turn
this one, right? Does that work?
There it goes. Yeah.
That's it. So there's the thing. They say no evil. Essentially, FIFA wants them to censor. There was a whole armband row. People can't wear colored shirts in the stadium or whatever. And so the team photo, they did this thing where they put their hands over their mouth. Good on them for standing up. And like I said, rumor has it they're going to fight FIFA, and Neuer is going to wear the rainbow armband over the weekend against Spain. They do want that to happen. They are going to take the sanctions, and they're just going to do it. Okay. So those are the rumors. We'll see.
The already the most the tamest of protest, like One Love, was that even, like it's not even.
It's not even. It's just this tiny little.
Yeah, it's not even a particularly
the concept of just the fact that they're banning that blows my mind.
Yeah, it's really it's a
tiny little rainbow. All it says is everybody loves everybody, and then FIFA's like, we have a problem with that because our country wants to make sure that not all people
with the
are
most
allowed to
with the most. We have a problem. We have the problem with the most generic and corporate expression of anything. Yeah, it's really wild. It's a loss. It's a loss for everyone. It's a loss for everyone involved, right? It's like FIFA being.
But they're clearly stating it's like, we want to make sure we do not support all people feeling comfortable. That's the stance they're making. Right. Like, we want to make sure certain people do feel victimized. Like, that's what they're saying. And it's like, why would anyone make that choice in general as a human being? So I don't get it. So good on for Germany doing their best. Again, this is a whole cluster F. And like I said with Uli in the interview, all the national federations should have gotten together 2 years ago and like just boycotted this tournament, if that's what they want to do. Like, all these little back and forth shits, it's just annoying. And by the way, so I listened to BBC. BBC had a journalist report from Archie Ryan Tind, or whatever his name is, that British dude who reports in Germany. He's talking about how it's quiet in Germany. It's not the usual excitement they usually have, because Germans in general are really against the whole Qatar World Cup. And when Germans are against something, you know about it. And then it cuts to, like, German broadcast. It's in Mainz. They're talking about, essentially, it's just very somber and very much like we're here just for football. Then it cuts to Fox Sports, and it's some blonde who's like looking at photos of all these fans, being like, "Look at them! They're so happy. There's nothing to be unhappy about. So they're all happy. Everybody's happy." Yeah. Like Fox isn't just ignoring it. They're doing the opposite. They're like doing the propaganda.
Well, they're getting paid to do that.
True, but you're like, if I'm the host, I wouldn't, like, I know I'm not allowed to say anything, but then I wouldn't do but then there's the other thing, which is saying the opposite. Like, you're a North Korean propaganda minister. And right now, Fox is doing some propaganda, and I don't like it. So I just want to say that too.
Yeah, no, but that's fair. I mean, yeah. Anyway, we're gonna keep talking about it. I'm starting to feel a little bad. On the other hand, also for Qatar, who spend $1 trillion
Screw them. It's $1 trillion and
to reverse to basically to have the whole world hate them. I mean,
well, that's on them.
It's true. No, it's true.
Let all the Welsh have their rainbow hats taken away from them. What the hell kind of Stasi nonsense?
It's really nonsense. It's really that part is
that's on them.
It's inexcusable.
But they also had an agreement that it would be fine. So FIFA had to do this thing where they had to like remind them. It's like, remember you told us all the like. It's now becoming an issue. The stuff you said wouldn't be an issue. So I don't know. I don't know. The whole don't drink beer, man, blow it out your ass.
Well, it's all just they're all just sort of power moves, and FIFA has no spine and is corrupt.
No.
We know that, and so it's not great. But like we said the last time, like nobody. I mean, I talk to people who are not even into soccer at all. I was talking to somebody and I was like, oh, I've been, was just mentioning, oh, I'm watching the World Cup. And they're like, oh, I didn't know you were into slavery. And it's like, nobody had any opinion about Qatar prior to any of this. And now the whole world knows. So the whole world thinks they are the worst country ever. So I think it is a little, It's funny, whatever they were trying to achieve clearly has not worked.
Yeah, and Twitter is an interesting place these days. It's always been an interesting place, but
yeah,
someone told me after watching the games, and I'm like, it's really not on us. There's so many other factors that can be criticized. Me watching a soccer game on TV isn't that's not what's causing this problem. That's not the issue.
Right.
The issue is the sponsors supporting it, the organization supporting it. There's so many issues out of our power as fans. Fans are also, they're low-level victims, right? The real victims are, of course, the victims. But fans, like blaming the fans is a low blow. It's like when here in the city of Los Angeles, they have these commercials where it's like, remember, don't use your washer dryer till after 9. We all have to do our part to save energy. It's like, what is any business in this city doing to save energy? I mean, why is it on us citizens to do that? Like, what about the corporations and the businesses? How is their energy usage, right? All the trucks burning fossil fuels. Like citizens in their time off aren't the energy crisis problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's I agree. I think these are policy issues, and they're not they're not solved by individuals' actions. Yeah, that's true.
It's like blaming soccer fans watching the World Cup. It's like, we're gonna watch the World Cup, all right? It's on everybody else, on those giant corporations, on Qatar, it's on FIFA, it's on Fox Sports.
Yeah,
it's on
I didn't.
Other people. It's not on us. We're just.
I didn't travel. I don't think I would have gone there if not that I had, not that was really even something on my mind. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. I agree with you.
I love this sport. I watch every 4 years. It's on the minders to do this right, and they screwed up. It's not on us as fans. We didn't want this to happen. I'll always remember sitting there in the Bernabeu watching a Real Madrid game, a little flex, watch Real Madrid. And there was a big advertisement on the board saying, Qatar 2022, we're bidding for the World Cup. And I just laughed, and my friends laughed, and we're like, what is that nonsense? It's an absolute joke. So, of course, when they won, it's like, oh, corruption is stronger than I realized. And it's never ended. Should have been canceled years ago. Should have been relocated years ago. But anyway, this is, I don't know why it always comes this Qatar thing. Germany, bad. They're bad. Do better against Spain, Germany, okay?
Well, they need to, or this is going to be a short experience.
Do you think the whole Germany-Qatar stuff is leaking into the camp, do you think? Do you think that's a mental part of it, or what? Do you think maybe the relationship with FIFA? And do you think all this off-field stuff is affecting them?
I think the general thing I would say, these World Cups, nobody knows, right? Nobody know. It's like this strange alchemy where teams. What am I trying to say? It's like, we somehow, part of us thinks that, at this World Cup we're going to find out how good these teams are, right? Like we don't know, and then they come. But I think it also, obviously, these tournaments, because there's so much riding on so few games, right? For every other team, league games, you play dozens of games to find out who the best team is. With this World Cup, these games are so pressurized. 3 games determine everything. How the country will feel about Greg Berhalter is determined by these 3 games, right? So there's so much riding on it, and it creates its own momentum. Like these it's not just like, the team is good and we're finding that out. It's like, it's also that these teams kind of form themselves and develop themselves and write their stories as it goes, right? So these results kind of then also form the narrative, form how these people feel and what happens next. So we're gonna it's just gonna keep going. And then what was the question you asked me?
Do you think all this off-field stuff with Germany and Qatar is affecting their camp?
I guess
the mentality.
I think the mentality was poor today in the second half. Why? Who is to say?
4 years ago, they were affected by in-locker room fighting. That is relatively, although they won't talk about it.
We found out afterwards. Yeah.
Well, they won't talk about it, but that seems to be the case. It seems to be the case. I don't know. I hope that's not the case this year, but now it seems. But I'm wondering, are they being affected by a lot of the off? Is this just too weird?
Well, I mean, Schlotterbeck and Süle are gonna hear it, right, from people, and we'll see how they respond. Are
they the ones affected by Qatar the most?
I mean, right? Who knows? Like, we're just complicated. Humans are just complicated. There's a lot that kind of influences you and what you're thinking about as you. And who's to say? It's so hard to tell from the outside. What is their team spirit? How do they come together? This is now an opportunity. Are they gonna figure it out and beat Spain, and then the story will go one way? If they don't, then they don't. And there's lots of. It's just hard. It's hard to make those kinds of proclamations from the outside. I feel like, they're affected by, who knows how this all. Maybe they're too far away. We looked at that map, right? Maybe the drive was too long. Maybe they who knows?
Their training camp is an hour. Everyone's in the city except Germany. It's like an hour north by themselves. The tip of the
but of course, like if you lose to Japan, you're going to question all of your life choices that have led to this point. What was that thing that made the difference?
You have that long hour and 15-minute drive back. It's nearly 3 times as long as all they wanted the U.S. training camp. They lost it. Maybe that affected them. All I know is that Costa Rica's coming up in a few minutes. Half of the starting lineup's grandkids are in the front row rooting them on. So they're in good shape, good spirits.
All right, let's see. Let's see if they can squeeze out a tie, help everybody out.
I think Spain's going to destroy this team. I think it's going to be a 3 or 4-0.
All right.
All right. Anyway, any last thoughts on Germany? Deutschland? Echte Liebe?
I'm sad. I'm sad. It's like I said. I feel like a child, and I feel like I got hit in the face.
It's just annoying because we had the disaster 4 years ago. So fertig ist es. This is supposed to be different. This is you get off your butts and you do it, and they started with a loss to an Asian team. So. The other thing is, this is an Asian World Cup. Qatar and Iran were embarrassments. So you thought, okay, Asian teams, come on now. And the rest of the teams have showed up. Saudi Arabia beat Argentina. Japan beat Germany. Morocco and Tunisia, both with good scoreless draws against Denmark. And
they're in Africa, though, right? Morocco, Tunisia.
Oh right. But you're right. Good point. However, they are Middle East.
You know,
They are Middle Eastern though.
just
so
to throw that
a home crowd.
a Muslim, right? If you want
Middle
to make a Muslim connection, sure.
There's a Muslim connection, but you're right. But Saudi Arabia and Japan, on the other hand, with some W's, 2-1s each against Germany and Argentina, respectively. It is an Asian World Cup, so good on for the Asian teams for showing.
Yeah.
And it's also Middle Eastern World Cup, so that's why. So Morocco and Tunisia in front of very home-friendly crowds. They're also doing well.
I bet, Qatar also probably delighted to provide this stage for Saudi Arabia to shine. I mean, it's really just it's going.
I don't give a crap
poorly
about
for them.
This is a whole other thing, by the way. Like, it should have been hosted in Saudi Arabia. However, Saudi Arabia has all the exact same humanitarian issues that Qatar has. The one difference being that Saudi Arabia is a footballing country. So would it have been perfect? No, but it would have been a little bit better because Saudi Arabia actually do have footballing culture and they do have a support for it. So that would have fixed one half of the argument, but probably not the worst half of the argument, which is as a culture, they deal specifically in treating different groups of people like trash, just written in their bylaws. There's a long Twitter thread from Kartik Krishnaiyer. What's his name? A great American soccer journalist, Kartik Krishnaiyer, who's ignoring the World Cup because he's South Asian by descent. And he's like, Qatar specifically looks at South Asian people as inferior race. It's like written in their bylaws, which is why all these slaves that they hired and died were South Asian. And they didn't give a shit. Some foreign organization had to come in and force them to treat them a little bit better, but they're trying not to treat them like people. And then, same with the LGBTQ and stuff like that. It is when I see these players kiss each other on the field after the goal, I'm like, come on, keep going, kiss harder. See if the police will run on the field and lock you up for that. Lock you up for that.
All
Fuck
right.
them. Fuck them.
The three say this is the. Well,
anyhow,
thanks for making me laugh after this debacle.
There's so many debacles. It's a debacle sandwich. Germany
It is a
losing
debacle sandwich.
Germany losing a soccer game is the bottom of the issue here. All right, doesn't suck.
The only thing that matters to me right now.
Third major tournament in a row where Germany hasn't showed up. It's a little disappointing. Hopefully they can turn things around. Machin, Jungs, come on. You got this. You know how to play soccer. You know how to play. Do it up. Do it up.
And we'll see you on Friday.
See you on Friday after USA England. What's your USA England prediction, Bjorn, real quick?
2-1 England.
I'm going to say 2-2. It's probably 1-1. I want to tie. I want to draw. So let's say 2-2. So I want some excitement. Let's do it.
Right.
Christian Pulisic getting the last-minute equalizer as a fuck you to Graham Potter and Chelsea and London and all those guys to steal the points. And then the U.S. gets 3 points against Iran and goes through on 5.
Let's go.
All right. See you Friday right after the game. Tschüss.
Tschüss.
Bis
Macht's
Freitag.
gut.